It is now 10 o'clock. I wanted to, is the gentleman here who has the question about the absentee ballots? No, but, so let's start with where we are in terms of counting. We're at just shy of 12,000 as of about 15 minutes ago out of 20,459 returned. We had a very high return rate this election. So we had 21,130 applications and 20,459 returned. So that's a very high number of absentee ballots returned to us. And just in terms of the in-person versus the by mail. So it's very hard for me to see in WisVote a clear understanding of where the by mail ballots were, but I can tell you where the in-person ballots were. So we had 9,894 in-person ballots. We had 8,159 here at City Hall and 1,735 at between the two locations, both. So essentially the in-person ballots amounted to slightly under half of all of our absentee ballots. Keeping in mind that we have, for absentee ballots, we have about 200 people who live in care facilities. We had, I would say, about 150, 200 overseas and military ballots, and then the rest were by mail of various types. We actually had some hospitalized electors this election, which is something that you see mostly with a presidential. So that is where we are. And so just also to answer the question about the DS450, we had to actually shut it down. This is earlier this morning. We had to do a hard shutdown in order to have it then work again, but it's been working since mid-afternoon in the way that we expect it to work. So both machines are humming, and can't give you an estimate when we're going to get those other 8,000 ballots counted, but we are working diligently, and it is 10 o'clock. So it's not quite the witching hour, but I think we're going to get this done in a decent amount of time.
At 6:30, you were saying that there was a report of a native, somebody within the Native American nation that was turned away for using their tribal ID.
Correct.
Did anything ever transpire after?
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
So at 6:30, you had only around 4,300 of the 20,000 ballots counted, and now you've got
Almost 12,000.
Yeah, you've got a lot more. So what caused that increase in
Right.
speed?
So again, just remember that it's the processing. So the ballots, they are they're reviewed. The certificate is reviewed. The name is called out, like at polls. Number is assigned to that voter. It's put on in 3 places: on the ballot, on the certificate, and on what we call the absentee poll book. Then the ballot is opened. The certificate is opened to reveal the ballot inside. The ballot is smoothed. And then we feed it into the machine. And we have to, in the state of Wisconsin, we have to put our ballots into the machine by ward. So we have technically 51 wards in Green Bay, so we only feed 1 ward at a time. So that's why it's moving along now, because we have to do all those things ahead of actually feeding the ballots into the machines. Yeah, Joe.
How do the in-person numbers, now that polls are closed, compete with what you guys expected, higher or lower, about what you thought?
That is a good question, because this is only the second election that we've had 3 sites for in-person. And at the 2 sites, like I said, they were about 600 a day, except for the one day when we had a visit from one of the candidates out by Lambeau. So there were less than 50 voters there because it was just busy and the roads were closed. So I don't know. I didn't know actually what to expect with all of these locations providing in-person absentee. But I would say 50% of the total absentee ballots is actually a very good showing. People do like to vote in-person absentee. That's what it's called here in Wisconsin. The colloquial is, of course, early voting. And I want to make sure as a clerk that we have very generous hours so that people can fit voting into their very busy 21st century lives. So now that we have about 50%, maybe that will be the standard moving forward. Other questions? Yeah.
Do you plan on having another update this night, tonight?
No, not this afternoon, or next afternoon. So that's a really good question. I think what I'm going to do is not have a press conference, but I will send something to all of you about the absentee ballot counts. We have Mrs. Edelbeck, who will be updating our website with those numbers, and I'll continuously update them a little more frequently now that we're humming in terms of those two machines. And, so that's what I'll be updating into the night, and hopefully not very wee hours of the morning. Yeah, any other questions? Awesome, thank you all for being here, I appreciate it.
Thanks.